Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And shall I say today, especially race fans, and in specifically speaking, NASCAR fans. Ladies and gentlemen, you are officially tuned in live to our very special Ryan Sparks interview edition of The Defining Moment. Right here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. What's going on, y'all? It is a pleasure to be back. Thank you all so very much for tuning in today. We have another special treat for y'all, and I know you're going to love every single bit of it. I'll tell you what. Today, we take a look at something that is a little more complex, yet a little more, in my opinion, sometimes a little more pleasing. What on earth could that be, Larry B? Well, let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be interviewing, well, myself and Couch Crew Chief. Of course, I'll be bringing him on momentarily, but we will be talking all about the crew chief position. You know, it's not every day that somebody understands or could even attempt to understand the inner workings of somebody who has to literally understand the inner workings of everybody else and dial in a car. So you can say a head coach is a very, very tough job, and ladies and gentlemen, it is. But I just feel, and I've always felt, that a crew chief of a race team has the weight of the world on their shoulders and a few more planets. Because it is a very wild job and a very wild ride. Today we will be once again speaking to crew chief of the number 32 Go Fast Mustang. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Sparks will be joining us in just a few minutes to talk all about how wild it is, or how, in his case, maybe how calm it is. Who knows? I mean, I'm pretty sure he thinks it's there's a lot of calamity going on. But for somebody who's been in the game for this long, maybe he's just found that part where he's like, you know what, I got this. Like a well-oiled machine, like a CEO of a company. Yeah, it could be stressful, but you know what? The job is rewarding, and that's why I say it's rewarding. Because my gosh, when you can command everything and it goes right, and you dial in a car and everything goes perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not quite sure if there is more satisfaction in sports than that, because that is a difficult job to do. With that said, today is going to be a lot of fun as we, once again, talk with crew chief of the number 32, Mr. Ryan Sparks. With that said, I'm bringing in my guest for today. He is our booking agent here at iSports Radio. He's responsible for this interview and all of the awesome interviews you have heard. Well, nearly every one of the interviews you have heard in the last couple of weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, he is the one, the only. Where's my applause? Because it's just not going to do without the applause. Here we go. One more time. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the one, the only, Couch Crew Chief. What's going on, buddy? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, Larry. How about yourself?
I am doing great, brother, and thank you so much once again, man, for everything you do here at iSports Radio. I'm glad to hear you're doing great. How on earth is the quarantine treating you?
Well, I'm bored. I'm very, very, very bored, so I just decided to basically just start finding people to get on your shows, because what else are we going to do if we're all sitting on our thumbs? You may as well do something.
Absolutely. Well, with that said, there's the introduction, y'all. We got a little something for y'all. Hopefully you enjoyed a nice little introduction there. And we are right on the way. The green flag, as you can say, has dropped, and we are underway. With that said, gotta say what's up to the chat room real quick. Big ups to Mr. Taryn Rodriguez. As always, y'all, Taryn's like the Superman, super fan, super super dude here, man. So appreciate you so much, Taryn. Once again, he is one of the heads of our PR department. So what's going on, Taryn, in the chat room? And he says, thanks for tuning in to Set Point yesterday. Jonathan, real quick before we take our break and get on into the interview for today. How about that Set Point chat room yesterday?
We did something to that chat room, and I almost feel bad for Taryn. Almost, not because I know he had fun reading it, even if he couldn't hear it.
Absolutely, and I'm sure he had a lot of fun. Hey, he just wants to express his gratitude, and hey, thank you, Darren, once again for doing all you do, man, for having a great show yesterday. Once again, y'all, if you want all kinds of volleyball, check out Set Point with Mr. Taryn Rodriguez. Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and a plethora of great shows. You want to know where you can find all those great shows and hit up the schedule every week and check out all the cool things we got going on, including upcoming guests like today, once again, crew chief of the number 32 Ford Mustang, Mr. Ryan Sparks. But you can also find all of our previous guests. Check out the show links to those. I'll be getting those up soon. Actually, I think I have them already up there. And, of course, check out who is coming up and all kinds of great things. You can find all of that at iesportsradio.com. I'll tell you what, you get on up over there, you will see all kinds of great things you love. The blog, you're going to see our podcasts, you're going to see upcoming guests, previous guests, you can join our forum, talk in there with other sports fans, check out our monthly newsletter, sign up for that, become a member of IE Sports Radio, we'll send that to you monthly, even twice a month. Check out our Hall of Fame page. We'll be getting that up soon. Our Reppin' IE Sports Radio page talking about shirts. If you want a shirt, get up the shirt, the merchandise page. Like I said, y'all, we got all kinds of stuff there, y'all. So check us out once again, iesportsradio.com, and show us some love. But with that said, as a matter of fact, you know something? Let's go ahead and just jump right on into today. I am excited for this. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's see here if we got our caller. Larry B, IE Sports Radio.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, he just popped in like a jack in the box, y'all, and I'm glad he did. With that said, welcoming in our guest for today, and I'm extremely excited to have him here. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, as I've been saying throughout the entire introduction, welcoming crew chief of the number 32 Ford Mustang of Go Fast Racing. He is Mr. Ryan Sparks. What's going on, Ryan? How you doing today, man?
Hey, not much, man. Just relaxing, quarantine and chill, I guess, is the term we're using these days. So, kind of weird times here all in. But thanks for giving me a call or letting me call in. I've been kind of bored, so looking forward to talking some racing here.
That is awesome, man. Well, I'll tell you what, we are so excited to have you a part of today, and this is going to be a lot of fun. I'll tell you, I got some great questions for you today. I know Couch. As a matter of fact, I think we might have lost Jonathan there for a couple of seconds. So here's what we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, our guest is here today and ready to talk some racing. I am all for it. I am so excited. So all of you in the chat room, stay handy. I know you're all excited too, so be ready. We're just a quick break, and when we get back, we are going to jump on over to our interview with Mr. Ryan Sparks. Once again, you are listening to The Defining Moment right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome in to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and you're listening to IE Sports Radio. If you like big nasty hits, if you like slap shots straight to the neck, if you like it when the gloves hit the ice and the big boys get down, then this is your show on IE Sports Radio. This is the Neutral Zone. May our shots on goal always be true and straight to the net. If they are not, may they be followed up, redirected, or change collected. Let's go on IE Sports Radio with me, your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and this is the Neutral Zone.
Motorsports takes many form, and there's one show on IE Sports Radio that's ready to cover it all.
I sure hope you're talking about you and I, Daryl, because I know the Extra Mile is the best place to go for everything motorsports related.
Yes, it is. From NASCAR to IndyCar to sports cars to everything in between, IE Sports Radio has everything covered for the fastest sport in the world.
Plus, don't forget all of our random shenanigans along the way.
That's right, Caitlin. So for plenty of motorsports coverage and plenty of Caitlinisms, check out The Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Caitlin Seen, Thursdays at 8 p.m.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned, we got things sorted out real quick, and we are all back on the line and all good to go. So once again, as I mentioned a little bit ago, ladies and gentlemen, he is crew chief of the number 32 Ford Mustang of Corey LaJoie of Go Fast Racing. Once again, glad to have him here today to talk a whole bunch of racing. Once again, Mr. Ryan Sparks. With that said, y'all, let's get things going and have some fun. So, with that said, I mean, Jonathan, you want to start us off?
Yeah, Ryan, just thanks for coming on. We appreciate it, and I've been wanting to sit down and talk shop with you anyways. So, with this quarantine, it's a perfect time to do that. But first off, you moved over from an engineering role with the 3 team to the crew chief role in the 32. I know it came together a little bit late. How has the transition been?
It's been pretty well. It was a pretty smooth transition. Archie and Mason St. Hilaire that run Go Fast Racing, you know, they're great people, good to work for, and they already had a really solid team and group of guys over there. So pretty much everyone was in place except for me. And, you know, I recognized and even worked with a lot of the guys in the garage over the years. So really easy transition. And really the biggest one I didn't know was Corey, and he's such a laid-back guy. He gets it done. Everything's been going smooth.
Well, that is awesome. And once again, thanks again for coming on today here, Ryan. So, real quick here, I know I'm like, we kind of swap questions here, but I do got to ask, this right here is going to be very interesting to ask you. So, basically, so I've been wanting to ask, or to pick your brain on some racing ways. So it's a perfect time for that. So first off, you moved over from an engineer role with the 3 team on over to the crew chief to the 2. Right now, I mean, I know we just asked that question for your swap, but I just want to ask real quick too. When transitioning on over, I mean, responsibility wise, what would you say is probably one of the biggest standout responsibility switches from each role?
Really, the biggest responsibility differences are just being responsible not only for yourself now, but for the whole group of guys, you know, the entire team. You know, making decisions that not affect you in the car, but all of those guys as well, the workflow, you know, scheduling what car goes to what race and things like that. You know, I feel the same day-to-day stuff. I still have a big hand in the engineering work with simulation, making decisions on stuff and things that I had back doing the engineering role as a 3-car. But like I said, now it's just being more of a people manager and doing some scheduling things is the main differences.
Oh, that is awesome, man. I'm telling you, I just gotta say, as I said in the introduction a little bit ago, I'm a football guy. I'm as what we would call a stick and ball kind of guy. And, it's crazy because I always throw out the fact that a head coach, head coach, it's it's rigorous. It's very tough position to have. But, the craziest thing is I just always seem to feel that a crew chief, it's because you're not just having to manage a group of guys, you're managing a machine too, So I think that is awesome. So, with that said, so we all know the crew chief, but your driver, Corey, was a crew chief for a bit too. How does that help during the race each week?
He was actually a pretty successful crew chief in the Can-Am Series for David Mayhew a few years ago, and it's handy that he knows his way around the car as well as me. Understand what adjustments are possible to make and make the most sense. Whatever issue we're fighting, a lot of the issues we fight are aerodynamic, balances and things like that, and making sure that's tuned properly. But having his mechanical ability it helps me understand how big I need to go on some of the adjustments. So it's definitely been a help for sure.
That is absolutely awesome.
And it's always nice you can have a driver that is able to give you good feedback. So then, now, in the week, you have to take and sit down and set a game plan for the week. So how much homework do you end up having to do each week to prepare for the track, and how much do you try to script your stops with your driver?
Well, Corey and I will talk, several times prior to each event, what he fought last year, what I fought last year, a different team, and bouncing ideas off of each other. And, just kind of build a plan of attack for the weekend, how we're going to, set up the car, approach each practice, and just kind of, establish what our goals are for the weekend and try to make them realistic goals. Being a smaller team, it is tougher on us, but if you have realistic goals and accomplish them, you can build each and every week and move up the field. So.
Absolutely. Something really overall is the fact that, it's so neat to have to be able to work and interlace with everybody in different roles. And realistically, when it comes down to having the heat of everything, week to week, it is something that I absolutely love I just wanted to really understand or see if I can wrap my head around the responsibility you guys have. So when it comes down to it, on the track, there's always been a question of mine that I've always wanted to ask a crew chief this. And when you have to dial in, it's kind of like, in football or in any other sport, it's your game plan. It's what you prepare for. As we know, every single track is so different in many ways. Even if they're similar, there's none to the same. So I've always wanted to know this, Ryan. When preparing every single week, apparently, you've been to these tracks before. You know how to set up how to set up cars for every track. When it comes down to it, even if you've raced at Bristol or Charlotte or Texas a million times, I know it's always this race first, but going in, right as soon as this race ends, you've got to immediately be thinking in the back of your head, okay, so here's what we got to do to adjust for next week. How does that work every week for you, in adjusting your car? Is it always a different kind of a story, or is it usually around the similar thing of, okay, I know what to do at this track, this is what we're going to do? How does that work?
Well, as the different body styles have changed over the years, that you'll really just account for the aerodynamic differences going back each and every time. If you have a good course setup at a racetrack, it tends to work there year after year, and you may have to tweak it just a little bit based on different tire combinations Goodyear may bring or the weather. Or if you have a new aerodynamics package, which is one of the biggest things we adjust on, just the balance of the car aero-wise. That plays the biggest role. We're really racing air, to be honest with you. So that's the ball game, and that's kind of where the big teams have the advantages, where they go to the wind tunnel more often and just are able to develop more downforce in their cars and things like that. But to answer your question, if you have a good, solid setup at a track, like I said, you may tweak a little bit, but it seems to work well going back each and every year.
And that's something that I've always thought too is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if there are minor tweaks, so awesome response there. That's something that I would have thought too. But awesome stuff, Ryan. Thanks for answering that for me.
So I have to ask that we know that this year you actually have a technical alliance with Stuart Haas Racing. How much is that helping you out this year?
That's helped us. We've bought 10 cars from those guys. So, having a little bit better quality product than what we've had in the past. And, just having, a little bit of technical alliance, getting set up information from them, and just having those guys lean on for questions has been a little bit of a help. Like I said, they Go Fast already had a pretty a solid product, we're just trying to improve a few spots each and every year. That's, our goal. We know we're not going to go out and win races first year. Obviously that's our goal, and we're gonna work towards that. But a realistic goal is just for us this year is to finish top 25 in points. So baby steps. These bigger teams, they spend exponential money to do. So if it makes small gains on them a little bit at a time, that'd be a successful year to us.
Yeah, and I there. Having at that program is going to be huge. It's going to help them out. I know you've had experience other places. I guess I know the answer to the question, but I just want to take and give you a chance to kind of tell everybody how long have you been involved in NASCAR, and what have you all been doing throughout these years?
Okay, so I got my engineering degree from UNC Charlotte. I graduated in 2007. The very next week, I had a job at Richard Childress Racing where I had interned there a couple times during the summer and winter breaks while I was at college. But so I started out there doing data acquisition for the 07 when Clint Boyer drove it. And the next year, I did data acquisition, all the testing and stuff for the 29 car for Harvick. And then mid-2009, Austin Dillon started running some Canyon East races, some ARCA races, a couple nationwide, then now Xfinity races, and a couple truck races. So we did a part-time schedule with him, and I was kind of the next in line to get the race engineer position. And so we did, and we immediately had good chemistry and a good relationship. And when he went full-time truck racing, and they brought over Danny Stockman, they kept me as the race engineer. And I've just kind of been his race engineer for the last 10 years. He's worked his way up to the ranks, and I stayed with him on the team. And I felt like it was time for a change, and it just kind of worked out. RCR was making some changes that I was involved in, and had a good opportunity to come up at Go Fast, and I definitely jumped when the opportunity arose.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see actually get into the crew chief role. It's a role that I'm working for, and it's definitely a role that certainly deserves. So we got to go. I also have to go back. So which win was bigger for you, the Charlotte 600 race or the Daytona 500?
Man, that's such a tough question. They're almost equal. The first one being the 600, it was awesome. Just that first win feeling is just amazing. And the Coke 600 is probably next in line to the Daytona 500, one of the biggest races you can win. But with that being said, our sport is just kind of built around the Daytona 500. That's kind of like our Super Bowl, and that was special as well to just kind of put our car in the museum the next day at Daytona USA and just be a part of that, and just really winning with the number 3 on the side of the car is just something special. So, it's hard to say which one is I enjoyed the most. Trust me, we enjoyed both of them for several days after.
Absolutely, and nobody can blame you for that. That's for darn sure. They're just both huge races, so it's it shows that you're bringing, success. You're bringing that over the 32, and I know it's a small shop there. Did you get any reaction from the guys in the shop as you came over?
Well, me being younger, it's easier kind of to communicate. Most of the guys are pretty young, and they got a good solid group. And I got along with pretty much everybody, and it just seemed kind of seamless. Really, it was really smooth and easy. So they picked on me right away. So if somebody's picking on you, they like you. So it's a good group. I really enjoy it. It's a small shop. It's almost like kind of old school late model or modified racing out of your garage, at your house or something like that. It's just kind of got that vibe to it, and but we're doing it at the top level. So it's just kind of the best of both worlds. But I really enjoy being there.
That's awesome. Yeah, in the shop, I mean, it's small, but you can tell that the people there they love it. They have to love it in order to take and compete. Now, before Daytona, I know you took your guys out to do something special. Did you want to tell everybody what you did?
Yeah, so we went out to this place called Tonic Race Room in Concord, North Carolina, and it is what it is. It's a race room. Like, they literally have all these broken TVs and computer screens and just kind of random things. And, they got sledgehammers and baseball bats, and you there just kind of beat the crap out of all this stuff and take out all your frustrations on it. But it was fun, and they had some axe throwing stuff. It was just a good time to get together, beat some stuff up, talk some trash, have a couple beers, do some bonding before we come down to Daytona.
Yeah, I saw that, and I thought, God, that looks fun. It's a good way for you to bond with the team and for them to bond with you, and just good, wholesome fun, headed down to Daytona. So, and speaking of Daytona, I know everybody has one question or another about Daytona this year. It's inevitable with what happened. My question about it is this: when you see these big wrecks, because you've been through it with Austin, you've seen it with Corey, you see these big wrecks. I mean, as fans, our hearts stop, and we're like, oh my God. But these guys differently than we do. So I'm just curious as to what goes through your mind, what happens at pit stall, and what's all going on there. I'm just curious about that.
Well, we're all pretty hard-nosed racers and want to beat each other pretty bad each and every week. But as soon as something happens like it did the Daytona 500 this year, it immediately switched to, all we could think about or what was worried about was Newman being okay. We saw Corey get out, and he was banged up a little bit from the belt pulling on him, but he was fine. We knew he was fine. So, we moved from enemies, you could say, or competitors to, just more like family and just, concerned and what we could do for one another and help each other out. It's a scary situation, but, we all know the risk every time these drivers strap in these things, there's definitely a huge risk involved at the speeds they're going. So, but that's why they make the big bucks. And NASCAR does a pretty good job of making them safe. Each and every wreck, there's data recorded on it. And they do their due diligence to improve the race cars and make them safer. With every wreck, they try to learn something. So there's always a positive out of a negative, and I'm thankful that Newman was able to walk out of the hospital a couple days later, which was still just unbelievable to me.
Absolutely, I didn't expect that. Just seeing it on TV, I was surprised, and I just thank God that he's safe. And I know the team just recently got the car back to R&D Center because, for those who don't know, a lot of times they'll take the car back, tear it down, and look to see what went right, what went wrong. But with that car, were they able to save anything other than the window net out of that thing?
Pretty much the car was junk. The interior of the car, the greenhouse, they call it, was in great shape. It was, intact. No issues there. The new EBC 4 panels, it's a thicker 4 panel that we've updated really since Austin got in that bad wreck at Daytona and some other wrecks. But, everything looked really good as far as the driver cockpit. So, we could save some of the interior items, but really everything else was junk.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like that was about it. So how is the rest of the year better? The couple races you got in after that with the West Coast Swing, how did that go for you?
It went really well. Vegas, we had a good, solid run. We were top 20 car all day, and, Dodger recommended ended up 15th. That was a great day for us. Went to Fontana. We just kind of missed the balance a little bit. It was really good in practice, and there was a huge temperature change going through the race, and we just kind of went the wrong way on the setup and missed a little bit, but still salvaged a decent day and kept it in 20. And Phoenix, we had a really good run going, very solid. I felt like we were a top 15 car, and ended up burning the brakes off the car for that very last restart, so we kind of had to nurse it home. But overall, pretty satisfied with the performance. Corey's done a great job, and all the guys as well, with these new cars. Done a good piece and bringing decent speed to the racetrack, and I think it's definitely an improvement from where we were last year. And so just really anxious to kind of get back to the track and build on it.
I know it's all about building that notebook year after year, and I imagine you probably have a pretty extensive one coming over from RCR at this point, which is a good thing, and that's got to help you out. So hopefully you can take and keep building that notebook, and hopefully we can take and get back to racing before too long, so that way you can make use of it. So I guess at this point, if you don't mind, I want to take and shift gears a little bit. That's the racing that pays the bills. Then there's the racing that fills the heart, and I know you've got someone special that races down at Millbridge. So how's the Millbridge racing with the Outlaw carts going for you?
Well, we just got started. We got to run one race this year, and then unfortunately with the scary pandemic that's going on in the U.S. with the coronavirus, we had the statewide shutdown in North Carolina, so we only got to race once. But yeah, my niece, Cassie, she races Outlaw carts at Millbridge, and I'm pretty biased, but she does a pretty heck of a job. We got caught up in a little wreck on the first lap of the features in our first race this year, and she had to come from the back, but she was able to pass cars and work her way back up through there and get a decent finish. But I was just talking to her earlier. She's chomping at the bit. She's ready to get back in the cart and go fast. She's getting bored staying at home. So we had a lot of fun with that, and just it's something that I can do with her if we race during the week and working in the Cup Series. So it's exciting to be a part of that for sure.
Yeah, and that's being you crew chief for her and for on the NASCAR side. It's fun and it's interesting. Which one are you more intense at? Which one are you more like when you're sitting there? It's like you're always intense at the track, and I see it. Which one are you like? I don't know. I guess which one do you feel more intense about?
Well, I feel like I'm pretty intense about both of them, but I was telling my dad one time, just watching my knees, man, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't get nervous on Sundays because that's like my job. It's what I do. It's what I live for. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. But, like, when she's racing, it's crazy. I get butterflies and I get nervous about it. And I guess it's just wanting her to do well, more than anything. But it's funny because she's like calm, cool, and collected, and like I get all out of sorts when she races. But I guess it's a different thing when you got family sitting in the seat. But we had a lot of fun with it. We got a cool sponsor. We got Andy's Frozen Custard. They're awesome. They take care of us. They got great ice cream, which is cool kid sponsor. So actually we're teamed up with PDM, that's Austin Dillon, Team Dillon Management, and he still supports me a lot. We're still good buddies, and so we still have the Cup track, but he comes and sees us every now and again at Millbridge too.
That's absolutely great to hear. And so how long have you been crew chiefing for her, and how long has she been racing at Millbridge?
So she just turned 11, and she started when she was about 7.5. So she's got about 3.5 seasons under her belt, and the the first couple races were like, oh man, this could be a struggle. And then like 3 or 4 weeks in, kind of light switch just hit. And then her first full-time season, she won 10 out of 18 races there and just totally dominated the series. And you know, she's one of, I think, 2 girls that race around there, and she's really, I'd say she's the most competitive one, and it's just awesome to see her kick some of the little boys' butts. And even some of the parents, like, if their kid don't win, they want Cassie to win, and she's just loved by all of them. So it's a good time. You know, she's got a pretty solid fan base out there. I bet we have 20 to 30 family members coming to watch her each and every week.
And that's fun, and like I said, that's the reason that actually fills the heart. So that's where the passion is born. You know, is down there, you know, with the kids. I love going down there and seeing it. You know, it's just fun. It's good fun racing, and for anybody that's in the area between Salisbury, North Carolina, and Mooresville, North Carolina, it's like dead center. It's good night that you can go out. It's $12 for adults, and I think $6 for kids, and six and under is free. And if you want to see some intense racing, I think that's some of the most intense racing that I've ever seen between these four guys in the box stocks and beginning box stocks. They're sitting there under caution, they're bumping and everything else. So you can you can tell that the kids love it. It's intense, it's passionate, and even the parents are obviously passionate about it. Ryan, we do have a question in the chat room. Karen wants to ask, when did you realize that you wanted to be a crew chief and work in NASCAR?
Well, I grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is home of the infamous Bowman Gray Stadium. So ever since I was about a year old, I was going to Bowman Gray Stadium each and every week, and I knew I wanted to work in racing. And the older I got, you know, as soon as I got the opportunity to go in the pits and work on a car, I started working for a guy, Bobby Hutchins, building open wheel modifieds, and he would race them. And I started working for him, and I just we had a group of guys, and they kind of get older and you know, stopped coming, and I just eventually got into the crew chief role for that car right there. And you know, I just knew it was something I wanted to do. You know, ever since I was really about probably I'd say 13 or 14 years old, and you know, I skipped out on all the other sports. I didn't go. I missed all the fun beach trips and lake trips with all my friends because I was racing each and every week, and it's just something I've always been passionate about. You know, I just the competitiveness of racing is just, you're not playing one other team. You're usually playing 30 other teams at one time. It's just, you know, the level of competitiveness is unbelievable. And when you win a race, whether it's at Bowman Gray Stadium or at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Cup Series, it's just the feeling you get, that accomplishment is just unbelievable. And, you know, I never got that with any other team sport that I played growing up. So that, for me, is why I do it. And like I said, I've known probably since I was 13 or 14 years old that's what I really wanted to do.
It really is a calling passion. I mean, it has to be a length of schedule and flying, you know, every week and moving and basically never being home. So now you're home, and there's multiple reasons for that, not just the quarantine. So I have to ask you, you know, we saw on the GoFast Facebook that you are recovering from knee surgery. How's that recovery going?
It's so weird. Like, just turned 36 this year, and I've never broken a bone or had any surgery or done anything. I actually was working on my knee through go-kart at Millbury Speedway, and I kneeled down and my meniscus popped. So I had to have a surgery, which I was lucky to get in. And I guess if anything was going to happen, it was the perfect timing for it that we're all quarantined now. But it's going well. I'm finally starting to take a few steps on my own without crutches and stuff like that. And I'm just timid more than anything. But it's should have plenty of recovery time, and I should be 100% ready to go as soon as they lift the shutdown and we're able to go back racing.
Well, I'll tell you, a meniscus tear is not a fun thing. And once again, me being an athlete for so many years as well, I totally know. I feel your pain, Ryan. I know about some nasty things that happen, and that isn't that something? I mean, happened to pop it while fixing a go-kart, but you know what? That is amazing that you're still, you're on it, and you're just like, all right, cool, we're just gonna heal up. But like you said, it's the best time, right? So with that said, I gotta ask you this. This is going to sound hilarious, okay? And if you laugh, it's okay with me. It's quite funny how I became a NASCAR fan. And, I don't ever share this hardly with many people that I'm like not, people that are usually in my small circle. But, I'm gonna announce this on air right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I became a diehard NASCAR because of a video game when I was a kid. And honestly, it's hilarious, but I became a huge NASCAR fan because of NASCAR 98. And I used to play that game day in and day out throughout the entire summer that year between when I was in elementary school. And I learned so much about NASCAR and I loved it. So I'll tell you, I grew up knowing these tracks, knowing their names, knowing the bankings, knowing it's just all from a video game, just learning about them. So I gotta ask you this, Ryan. I definitely have my all-time favorite tracks, and I can go on and on about them forever, but I would love to know yours. What would you say, if you had to name, okay, if you can give us one, I'd love that, but if you can name a handful of probably some of your all-time favorite tracks to go to, what would they be?
Oh, that's easy. Well, first of all, I mean, hey, there's a...
Uh-oh, we got you back there, Ryan?
You got me? Sorry, I dropped the call there.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. Things happen, but okay, so it's all right. We got you back.
Okay, now to answer your question, it's not that far-fetched that people get in the sport based off video games. Even some of the drivers are doing that now. With all these esports going on these days, being the quarantine, the iRacing is a huge deal. So, we'll take any kind of fans any way we can get them. But my favorite track, that's easy, Martinsville Speedway by far. Because it resembles what I grew up, short track racing at Bowman Gray Stadium. Short track, flat, bumping and banging, fighting your way out of there. I love that's definitely my favorite. You got to love Bristol just because the atmosphere, you're surrounded by fans, 160,000 seats in that place. They call it the last great Coliseum. I call it the second to last great. I think Bowman Gray Stadium's the greatest. But those are two of my favorites. I always love racing at Charlotte in front of a home crowd, and I really enjoy road course racing, to be honest with you. So Sonoma is a beautiful place out in California, and really enjoy racing around there as well.
Oh my gosh, Ryan! Look, I know we only got a few minutes here. I know you got to head out, but my gosh, I want to talk about these with you so much. So I'm going to sum these up as fast as I can because honestly, you seem like a short track kind of man like myself. I love me a good short track. Martinsville. I used to love what they used to say in the video game back in the day about Bristol: bumping is racing, rubbing is racing. So Bristol is amazing. I love that track. I remember even the announcer saying that it's kind of like driving in a bathtub. So. I love that track for sure. Martinsville, as you can see, two drag strips together with two tight corners. I love that as well, and I'm also a huge fan. As a matter of fact, I'm about 40 minutes away from the Auto Club Speedway down here in Southern California, so I'm a big fan of that track, of course, because of its width, and I just love that track. I'm always there. I'm usually there every year. But Sonoma, if you can really quick, I know we got a few minutes, but Sonoma is its own beast. I mean, it is a different kind of a track. Really, if you have to explain what preparation is, what everything would be for that particular track, how would you explain a week getting ready for Sonoma Speedway?
Well, to be honest with you, it's a little different for the NASCAR guys preparing for the road course races, just because there's so few road course races compared to other series. So, a big part of our preparation is getting the driver going through the motions, getting back used to turning right and left, and things like that. So we spend a lot of time on driver simulators, making hundreds of laps before we even get there. But Sonoma's unique. It's typically pretty warm there. There's a lot of tire fall off. So strategy plays a big part in when you're going to pit and getting track position versus taking tires and things like that. And so that's why I enjoy it. And like I said, just get the driver comfortable and making laps on the simulator is probably the biggest preparation we do heading into the road course event.
I can totally see that. That is that track is awesome. One day, I know I live about 6 hours from it. One day I gotta get up there and see it, and I'll definitely be there to cheer you guys on. And that number 32, I'll tell you, I'm loving it. I'm a big fan. I enjoy your work and what you do every week. And personally, I just want to tell you right now, thank you so much again, Ryan, for stopping by today and being a part of our show, for just bringing the energy you have. I'm telling you, see, it takes somebody with a high energy, in my opinion, to be that crew chief. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You, especially when we're actually racing, you don't have much time to sleep because all you're doing is thinking about how you can go faster, or make the car better in any way possible. So, yeah, when we're not sleeping, we're definitely thinking about race cars. That's for sure.
I can see that all day long, and absolutely, you guys. I could imagine your schedule. I could imagine how everything is, and it's a special type of person to be a crew chief, and that's why today I'm so happy. We love having drivers on air. We love having stick and ball athletes, but there's nothing quite like a NASCAR crew chief, and I'll tell you, I'm just so glad that we had you on today's show. So with that said, I'm going to open the floor up to you now. Ryan, go on ahead, man. Anybody you want to mention, anybody you want to, anything you need to give a shout out to or anything like that, go right on ahead, man. The floor is yours.
Hey, really, just a shout out to all the race fans, man. Hang in there with us. We're going to get this season back going soon. And hopefully you're entertained by the iRacing series that's going on right now. But we're going to get some real race cars back at some real tracks as soon as we can. Hope everybody's staying safe and avoiding this scary pandemic we're facing right now. But that's it, man. Just super excited to be here. Thanks for having me on. Sure.
Well, I'll tell you, it has been great, and I'm excited I'm excited to have you. Like, I'm bummed out we gotta let you go. I mean, if it was up to me, we'd be talking for the next, at least more 30 minutes. I mean, I love talking racing, and you know what? It's great to be able to speak with somebody in your position and your passion for the sport. It just bleeds on through the airwaves. You can see it, you can feel it, you can hear it, and that's what's just getting me so hyped up and excited. So I can say the same exact thing. All the fans and everybody who is sticking with it, enjoying it, and iRacing right now is what we got, and we're having fun with it. So I'm enjoying that, and hopefully we can get back on that track soon. And real quick before you're out here, Ryan, are you optimistic for what's to come? I mean, do you think we're gonna have racing this year? What do you think personally? Do you think we're gonna probably have something coming soon, or no?
Absolutely. NASCAR is doing their best job to get us back on the track as soon as we can, but their main concern is to keep everybody safe, of course. We don't need to spread the virus any more than it already has, and things like that. So when it's 100% safe to go back, you can guarantee we're going to be back on racetrack, and we're going to get all 36 races in. Not 100% on the schedule for sure. There's been a few floating around on the internet, as some of you may have seen. We're going to be doing some weeknight racing and some double headers on the weekends and stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of action and stuff like that, which I think is going to be pretty cool. But I'm pretty excited about it, and we're going to work our guts out for all the fans, and we're definitely going to get all 36 in for sure.
Oh man, you know something, right? You how many times? I don't know. I'll tell you right now though. You just made my week. You made my whole week. I think you made the rest of my year. You said dual on the weeks, probably double headers, weekends. Oh my gosh, this is a NASCAR fan's dream, and I'm just saying. I know it's gonna be a lot of work on your guys' end, but for the fans, we're gonna eat it up like a bowl of Cheerios on a Saturday morning in front of cartoons. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you. So with that said, once again, ladies and gentlemen, let me hit that pause button one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, crew chief of the number 32 Ford Mustang of Corey LaJoie, Mr. Ryan Sparks. Sir, it has been an absolute honor having you on today. Best of luck to your knee, of course. I want you to heal up soon so you can get back to action. Best of luck to your niece. I'll tell you, today, I have become a huge fan of hers. Today, just hearing I love it. I'm already a huge fan. I'm telling you, I want to be able to cheer her on as much as you guys are, because that is amazing. I'm loving it. I'm loving the sponsorship you're talking about. I'm loving all that, man. So I'll tell you, us here at IE Sports Radio, you got our support, you got our love, and you definitely got our support to cheer you on as well as your niece. So thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you, and we'd love to have you back very soon.
Absolutely. Anytime. I appreciate it. And anybody's got any questions for me, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Like I said, during this quarantine time, I'm definitely looking for things to do. So, yeah, I'd be glad to come back anytime.
Oh, man. Well, then don't tell me that, because I'm going to have you back next week, Ryan.
I hear you.
Always. But, hey, thanks again. I appreciate you once again. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, a great week. God bless you, sir. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Y'all take care.
You too. Take care. All right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, how about that, Mr. Ryan Spark? That was awesome talking to a crew chief. I will tell you that I have definitely one of my biggest interests has been fulfilled, because there's no one quite like a NASCAR crew chief, as I just mentioned. So I'll tell you, that was a lot of fun, and I'm just super excited. As you can tell, the energy just went up that we got to speak with him. So with that said, as you know, we had, oh my gosh, today, ladies and gentlemen, technical difficulties have plagued us, but you know what? Like any successful team, you get through the bumps and you get through it. So we had a tough one, but we actually have Jonathan back with us. Jonathan, you there, buddy?
Yep, I'm here.
Man, technical difficulties today has just been on us. My gosh. But I gotta tell you, that was a lot of fun, and thanks for bringing him on, man. I mean, so any thoughts? I mean, anything he had said? I don't know if you heard what he said right there at the end, Jonathan, but how about that? Trying to get all 36 races in, double headers, weeknight racing. How you feel about that?
Man, I'm absolutely loving the idea of double headers. I love the thought of being able to get all 36 races in. Fans have wanted weeknight racing forever and ever, and it's going to suck for the teams. And that's logistically speaking, the reason NASCAR hasn't been doing it is just because of the logistics are a nightmare. But they're going to do it. They're going to get the fans, and the fans, I'll tell you what, we got to get out to the tracks. We got to support these guys. We have to show them that we appreciate the work that they're putting in. That's what I based my entire thing around when I first started, really working towards getting into NASCAR, because it's like, for those who don't know, I've done writing about it, and I'm doing podcasts here and there with NASCAR. It's all been about kind of showcasing the guys that they aren't in front of everyone. I want to showcase the crews, showcase all these guys, because there's a lot of that goes in. These guys putting in, 50, 70, 80 hour weeks, getting these cars ready. So this year, to get all 36 in, these guys are going to be worn out. So we as fans have to do our part and make sure to show them that we support them. That's going to be my biggest takeaway, or my biggest tip to everybody else, is make sure that we show them how much we appreciate it, and just enjoy the races. No matter what happens, just enjoy the races. Don't look at any negative stuff. Just enjoy the races.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, see, this is when I get real bummed, because, man, I am so excited, Jonathan, to have, once again, weekday, weeknights, doubleheaders, weekends, everything. And then you realize one thing, Jonathan. You live about 40 minutes away from the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, and there's really nothing more you can do but just be a spectator on TV. Now, if there were multiple tracks around here, or if they came back, you better believe I'd be there, and I'd be ready to rock and roll. But, man, I just wish there were more tracks around this area.
Man, I'm based in North Carolina now. I'm actually only about 25 minutes away from the Go Fast Racing shop. I'm 25 minutes away from Richard Childress Racing. Pretty much 25 minutes away from most of the race shops, and I'm definitely going to be making sure I go in and drop off a little bit of food here and there for the guys, because Lord knows they're going to need food. But if I can go to races, I'm going to go to as many races as I can. But I mean, sadly, the pandemic is going to affect that a little bit. But I will take and be I'll be tuning into every single race as much as possible, like I always do, and I'll definitely be live tweeting radio. You never know who I'm going to live at this point, but I'll definitely be there because this is what I love. And just like Ryan, there's a point where you're just called to it, and you just got to soak it up.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, his answers were so, like, I love it. He was so, that's what I told him at the end of the interview, like, you can tell your passion for this, like, it's fluid. There is something, it's just there. There is the love that's not ever going away, and it's like he's right here, ready to rock and roll for race time. And I just, oh man, that was awesome. So yeah, hearing everything about, especially too, I'm telling you, that the one of the coolest parts of this entire interview. I mean, hey, it was great having you on, Ryan. We love you, man. But man, how cool was it to hear all about his niece's racing team? And I know you sent me over on the link. We'll go ahead and elaborate on that, Jonathan. If anybody wants to support her and her young career starting out, how can they do so?
Well, one of the biggest things you can do, speed51.com. Go to speed51.com, and they show a ton of races. It's all short track and dirt track racing. So go to speed51.com. You're going to have to subscribe, but you're going to be able to watch Cassie race just about every single race that she does at Millbridge this year. And plus, you're going to get all these other dirt track races, and they say straight out, it's all short track racing. So if you love short track racing, get on speed51.com, follow along, and you'll definitely be able to see Cassie there. And it's so fun to take and see the young kids race. Like I said, it's insane to see these little guys that, I mean, they are not even up to my hip, and they're strapping to these cars, and there's like these little dudes that have mohawks, and they're super competitive. I mean, it's like these guys are 5 and 6, and they are bumping each other under caution, just because they're not happy with the pace of the other kid in front of them. It's super fun, so go check it out.
That is awesome. I'm done. I'm definitely going to do so, and that is really neat. And it is so cool to think, I mean, short track racing is awesome already. And as a matter of fact, Jonathan, I don't know if you got to hear the very tail end there, but it was really cool to hear when he was mentioning his favorite tracks. My gosh, Ryan went right to the two that I instantly fell in love with. And it's crazy because some people would say, well, there's not much. How do you like that? How do you, like, don't get me wrong, I love the super speedways. Daytona and Talladega are always going to be near the top for me. But my gosh, the short tracks, just, I don't know what it is, but he went immediately to Martinsville, into Bristol. I mean, realistically, you as a race fan for so many years, Jonathan, I mean, what do you think? What is it about short tracks that you think really just draws in the fans?
Now, I'll tell you, NASCAR was born on the short track. Bristol, Martinsville, North Wilkesboro, Richmond. They're all short tracks, under a mile, under 3/4 of a mile. These are the half miles. And they were meant as, this is your Saturday night special type racing where you fight for every position and you have to race the entire race. That's the best thing about a short track, because Daytona, Talladega, all of your intermediate tracks, you're riding around for over half the race. Let's be honest, they're riding around, and there are times when it is just hard to watch. But you get to a short track, man, you have to fight every single lap because that leader is coming. I mean, when you look at a lap around Bristol, it's less than 16 seconds. 16 seconds. That's it to do that half mile. That leader is coming because when the leader takes the flag, you have about 8 seconds before the tail end of the field takes the flag. So there's only 8 seconds separating the leader and the back of the field. So everybody has to fight every single lap, and that's why NASCAR fans love short tracks. That's why there's such a push to get NASCAR back to the short tracks. That's what fans want to see. That's why they want to see it. And I commend Steve Phelps at NASCAR. He realized what they did with the intermediate tracks. They started going to too many of them. It's not fun to watch. So they are, proactively trying to get back to these short tracks. So I would not be surprised to see more tracks like Martinsville, like Bristol, but we just have to get through this TV contract.
You know, that absolutely. I think it's great because it everything you just said feeds right into why Bristol is called the last great Coliseum, because it's the amount of action that happens on these way smaller tracks is immense, and I thought that was really cool that he jumped onto those tracks, and then he mentioned the monster that is Sonoma. That was really cool to hear. That I liked it as a kid, watching it, of course, the video games and everything, but coming to watch NASCAR and just learning about the road course, I loved it. That was the first road course I ever really got into. And the track has changed up a little bit here and there throughout the last 20 years or so, right around there. But, it was really cool to hear him talk about the dynamics of the race, like turning right, like being able to dial that car in. And I mean, realistically, when it comes to a track like Sonoma, I mean, yeah, it's a breath of fresh air because the cars aren't driving around in an oval. However, it's like the challenge is much more different when it comes to stock cars and road course racing. So, Jonathan, I want to ask you this, man, on air here. Right now, there's only two road course races on the circuit. You have Watkins Glen, which is its own beast, and Sonoma. But going down into those two, but more specifically Sonoma, I mean, the drivers each week, what would you say the mentality would be going into a road course knowing that it could either be really good or really bad?
Well, first off, with Sonoma, my guess with Ryan, the next time we have him on, we'll just have to ask. I'm guessing one of the reasons why he likes going to like Sonoma or Watkins Glen is for any great competitor, what's the number one thing you want to do? You want to compete. You want to be challenged. Because if it's too easy, you don't want to do it and get bored. So after a while, when it's the same setup over and over again with these mile and a half, you get bored with it. So it might just simply be a challenge. That's what he likes it to start with. As far as what the mindset is, there's going to be a couple different mindsets. You're going to have the drivers who, man, they grew up racing karts, and they've done road courses, and they like road courses, and that's what they want to do. And some guys will absolutely love their courses. Then you have another set of guys that they grew up on dirt track, and that short half miles and stuff like that. They may not like it so much because it's just outside of their wheelhouse, and that's why it used to be you'd have road course ringers come in. You don't see that near as much anymore because point system now, it really rewards. You have to be there each week, every week. If you're not, you're hurting yourself. So the drivers who don't like it, chances are they grew up on dirt track. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all. That is your short track drivers. But then you have your road course drivers, guys that they live for getting a chance to do this. And so it is two different mindsets as to how you go about those road courses. That is a great way to answer that. I can definitely concur, and I hope that our listeners are really saying, you know what, that is absolutely, I think you capture the essence of it, man, because that's a challenge. It's a challenge, and it is a hard challenge too, because a lot of these drivers, as you mentioned, I mean, some of these drivers aren't used to this, some are, but when it comes down to the actual, to the race, it's insane, because we all know that, okay, at 200 miles plus, an hour at Talladega or Daytona, when you're 3 wide, or even, just 2 wide, you're in a big pack. The slightest touch of a bumper can wipe out half the field, okay? It's crazy to think that is a big part of racing, and that can happen anywhere, like on any track. But it's even crazier to think that in a road course, you could be having the best day,
and all it would take is a mistake that nobody bumped you. You just happened to take a turn a little too sharp and, catch the what do you call it? The curb of the track, and it could spin you, or you could lose it somewhere because maybe you entered this turn a little bit too prematurely on turn 9 or 10, and that just spun you, or unfortunately, you couldn't save the car. You saved it, but you couldn't save it fast enough, and you just lost like 3 or 4 positions. That is going to be extremely hard to get back because of the narrowness of the track, and just there's so much that goes into it. And I feel like road course racing is something that is, golly, road course racing, I just feel like if you don't have an incredibly good car, and if you make, and it's at the end of the day, it's those who make the least mistakes. So realistically, at a road course, I feel like even 2 mistakes could be too many. I mean, does that sound pretty accurate, or is that just something that you think, that's all NASCAR? What do you think?
The road courses are a unique animal because you don't have to have a great car. Growing up and living in Wisconsin, I got to go to Road America, Elkhart Lake, and watch the Xfinity and Nationwide races there. So I got to see a lot of different things, but like Jacques Villeneuve, so he's coming from, Indy cars, F1, sports cars. This dude has done it all. He goes to this tiny little small team and darn near wins the race if he doesn't run out of gas. Road courses are so unique in that you don't need the best car. Whoever handles the car the best, whoever handles the track the best, that's who you're going to see up front. That's all there is to it. Especially at really technical road courses, and that's where with Sonoma, I'm glad to see that they're running the carousel again. Because when they took out the carousel, it was a dumbed down road course that basically, unless they hit the wall, you weren't going to have too many issues. Now with the carousel, it's another chance, something else that the drivers have to contend with. The Road America, it's got so many different turns, so many different style turns. And like you said, one mistake is all it takes. All it takes is just you take and get a little too far out, you brake too late, or you get too much brake fade, you get into the pea gravel, your day can be done. Or you take and hit that apex one too many times, you start doing some damage to the underside of that car. You can start damaging components, and when you start damaging stuff, it takes it out of the car. I mean, I've seen guys who have a great race, but they damage their car, and it takes them out. It's one of those things with the road course that is unique because you're not going to see that too much at an oval. You just aren't. Road courses, you're going to see attrition, but not because of wrecks, but because guys aren't gentle on their equipment. I've seen it with drive shafts, breaking drive shafts, breaking universal joints, breaking the transmission because of how you're shifting. And I've seen it all happen on road courses, and I absolutely love road courses. I hope we get more. I'd love to see Cup go to Road America. Mm-hmm. I've talked that Road America is just a great track. I'd love to see them go to Barber. I would love to see NASCAR kind of go into a short track and road course heavy series, just because it's more challenging and it's funner to watch for fans, I think.
I could not agree more. I absolutely love road courses. To see Road America would be sweet. To see Barber, now that would be insane. I would love to see NASCAR, the Cup Series, go to Barber, and I would love to see that. I mean, it's a great race in IndyCar, so it is. I mean, I would love to see it for NASCAR. But I do gotta ask you this now. This is a mixed bag. And I'm glad I get to ask you this because, I think it's a love or hate, and I hate that because I love the original track. However, you may know where I'm going with this. What are your thoughts on the Roval?
I don't mind the Roval. There are people who absolutely love it. There are people who absolutely hate it. I am one of the very, very few people you will find that say, okay, I'm good with it. It's something different. That's the biggest thing, is I just wanted different. I wanted to see them do something different. I wanted to see road courses. They're stuck at ovals, so they made it work. And I appreciate that fact. I appreciate the fact that they're saying, you know what, fans want this. We can't give them the road courses that they want, but we can try something. And when you watch the oval, it's fun to watch because the drivers aren't used to it. Now we've only had, 2 years of it. So you're going to have several years where it is just different. And we got to enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy watching it because it's just a different animal, and it unsettles a lot of drivers. But it gives a chance for the people who maybe don't have the best equipment. It gives them a chance to really show their driving skills and show that, hey, look, I can take and get a top 10 just by not making mistakes. And I love the idea. And I love the idea that they're talking that we're going to go to Daytona, and the shootout, or what was the shootout, is going to be run on the Daytona road course. For years I've been saying, look, we have a great oval that has a great road course in it, and that is Daytona. Mm-hmm. Because you look at the 24 Hours of Daytona, it's one of the best races. It's a great race to watch. It's fun to watch. I'm like, why wouldn't you turn the Cup guys loose there and take off the restrictions? Just say, you know what, we're going to take the restrictor plates or now the tapered space, we're going to take those out and just let them loose. And I think, it's so fun to see that we're actually going to get that. So I'm in favor of it. It's a change. Some people don't like road courses. Some people don't like ovals. But you do have to adapt to a new generation coming in. And I think this is just a step towards that.
It really is, and I definitely agree. I would love to see that Daytona road course ran by NASCAR as well. I mean, that would be a lot of fun. I think the drivers would actually have a lot of fun with that as well, because, I mean, a lot of drivers do run the Rolex 24. The Rolex 24 is unreal. It is one of the coolest races I think anybody can ever watch. IMSA itself is awesome. I never even knew what IMSA was until Daryl, actually, 3 years ago, I started to get into sports car and everything because of the extra mile, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And yeah, IMSA is awesome by itself, but yes, I do agree that road course needs to be utilized. I would love to see Barber, as you mentioned. I would love to see Road America. I love the Roval. I think this is a great track. You're right, some people can't stand it. I think it's amazing, especially that very first finish. We don't got to go into detail, but that first finish was awesome at the Roval, and I just think that it brings more of that. So, a lot of people will say that. Oh, well, and it's so annoying, Jonathan, when you hear just casual sports fans will always tell you, oh, well, NASCAR's just driving in circles or whatever. Like, that's boring. Or what. And then, I can't stand that because I absolutely love NASCAR. I've loved it for a very long time. I have been such a huge fan of it. I know that it is way more than just driving around in ovals, okay, for sure. But to bring more road courses in, and I'm not trying to irritate the diehards out there, because they'll probably be like, oh, why trying to change our sport? No, but I guess a nice happy medium would be to utilize some more of those road courses. And once again, as you mentioned, it's a challenge for the drivers, it's a challenge for all the teams, the crew chiefs, everybody. That's big. And on top of that, it could be even a different switch up, for fans. Fans would probably like that a lot more, because you see Formula One fans love it because, well, their tracks are crazy. Those circuits are all over the place. I think it'd be really neat to see cars be able to do both, and that can bring in, I really think that can bring in plenty of fans. So I did want to ask you this, though, too, because this is something that I talked about on Monday, and I got the notification on my phone, and apparently IndyCar's looking to return by June. From your perspective, Jonathan, how realistic is that?
I honestly think it's pretty realistic, and it's really, I think they're gonna get going as soon as they possibly can. Every sport wants to get going as soon as they possibly can. I can only guess what the president said on his conference call with the head of all the sports leagues. Simply put, after 9/11, George Bush was telling the leagues, hey, look, we got to get going again. Give people distraction. Give them some hope. Give them something, because we've taken it all away. And so I think it's the same thing now, is we got to get back going. Give people something to cheer for. So if they're able to do it, I think they're going to. I think they're going to do it. As long as they're allowed to go back, they're going to go back. Because and it's not just sponsor money and race purses and stuff like that, but this is what we do. You have to remember, this is a business, just like any other one. And like, okay, I'm a factory worker. My factory is shut down. That factory isn't going to stay shut down forever. They want to get going as soon as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Every business going back as soon as they possibly can. Do I think it'll be June? Heck, I hope it'll be before June.
Mm-hmm.
You know, also take and see the end of May, them to be like, look, we can actually turn some practice laps somewhere. You know, I would love to see that. I'm hoping for that. I'm begging for that. That, let's get back. Even if fans aren't at the track, or even if you're only saying, hey, look, we're only going to allow 10% capacity at the track, I'm hoping that's what we see. Get back going. Number one, because all these guys in the shops right now, they're unemployed. They're sitting at home just like us. We have to get the industry moving again. We have to get the sports moving again, because it does drive our economy. It's a huge part of our economy. Anybody who doesn't believe that, go walk to your store. Go walk to any of these stores that you're able to go into right now. Look at how much sports apparel there absolutely is anywhere. And that's why I honestly think we're going to get back as soon as possible. I think we're going to get back going definitely in June, if not May. I think NASCAR, you'll take and see a race in May. I think June, you're going to see IndyCar back. I think you're going to see sports cars back in June also, because this is what we do. This is what we have to do. And at some point, the world does have to move on.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't have said better myself, Jonathan. And honestly, that is exactly what I feel needs to happen. We need to get everything back out as soon as we possibly can. And yes, production can't stop for your factory or for anybody else, even. Even my school. I mean, even my work, I want to get back to school soon, of course. I work in the school districts. But everyone wants to go get back as soon as they can. But you know what? Let's have a little fun here. I know I don't want to push it out too far. We'll go to half past the hour in about 12 minutes or so. But you're like the racing guy, man. You're the dude here who really just you grew up with it, man. Racing is a part of you. So actually, I want to get a quick little Formula One talk here real quick, because this is an idea that it was thrown around about 2 years ago, or maybe even 3 years ago, on the Extra Mile. I don't know if you ever heard us talking about this, because I was on the show, I think, when we were talking about it. Or I think I heard Matt and Daryl talking about it one time. I don't know. But the idea is insane. However, the realism is probably nowhere near realistic. All right. So this is cool, though. And we were talking about this. Daryl says it's probably not ever going to happen. I think Matt agreed. But since we do have iconic races like Monaco in Formula One, or like IndyCar with Long Beach, how neat would it be to have a Formula One race on the streets of, let's say, New York City, Times Square, or like Las Vegas on the Strip, or something like that? Now, Daryl, I mean, they thought it was a fun idea, and they were just talking about it. And I want to revisit this years later, because, this is a great question for you, because, number one thing, though we're shooting it down so quick, if that would ever be a thing, or it ever would work somehow, some way. And number two thing, honestly, do you think that would be a big thing, like, for Formula One, like, to really, 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 like, oh my gosh, this is huge, and people would absolutely love it? Or do you think it would just be an altogether terrible idea? What do you think, Jonathan?
It'll happen. Simply put, I know that eventually it's going to happen. F1 will be racing on the streets of Miami or Detroit or New York, and there is one reason that this will happen. There's too many people out there with stupid money. They're going to be like, you know what? I want to race on my, right around my apartment building. so I can watch it and not have to pay for tickets. There's someone out there with stupid money that's going to do it. I think you'll see it. I don't know when, but it's going to happen just because racing goes where the money is. I hate to say it, but it's true. Racing goes where the money is because it has to. So somebody with stupid money out there, I don't know who you are, I don't know where you are, but somebody with stupid money, just make this happen for us. Just end the conversation, be like, hey, look, I've got so much money, I don't know what else to do. I'm gonna take and sponsor a race that's around the street course. That's all there is to it.
I would love that. That would be awesome. I mean, I think you were the first person to actually say that's a positive thing because, we were just shooting it down because it's like, okay, I could probably never have, but that would be amazing if it were to. So one more direction I'm going to pull you in, Jonathan. We're just all over the place today, man. We touched on everything but my all-time favorite. Well, it's my second favorite because NASCAR is my number one for sure. But my close number two, and this is a fun question to ask you because I have seen the drivers on Twitter. I have seen quotes. And you know something? I don't understand why some people don't like it. And that, of course, is the NHRA 4 wide races. There are 2 of them now. I think Las Vegas, and you have the original 4 wide Nats. But I've seen drivers before, like on Twitter, and once again, I've seen like quotes and everything in articles where they're just like, this is annoying. Like, well, let's go back to the 2 lane. And the other drivers are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I love the 4 wide. I've never been to a 4 wide before. I think you mentioned you might have, and if you haven't, then my apologies for assuming. But talk about the 4 wide real quick and just kind of tell us how much different it really is than just the regular 2. I mean, what more does it bring? And on top of that, why do you think drivers love it and some hate it?
So I'll be honest, I have done the 4 wide races, but I've never done a 2 wide race.
Oh.
So I can only talk about the 4 wide races. I've seen plenty of 2 on TV, but I went to the 4 wide races. So I'll give you just a quick rundown of your experience with the 4 wide. Everything is fast moving, like fast. They are turning over these cars super quick. You have to go down there in the pits, right next to the cars. You see these guys that are wearing masks because they're dealing with nitromethane, and you have the fans that are trying to breathe in the exhaust because we're fans and we're stupid and we don't care. We're just fans. And so then you're singing the stands for the 4 wide. And the thing so it's like I knew it was going to be loud, and I had my earplugs in. But there was something that I didn't expect. When all 4 of them hit that throttle, the world goes silent for just a split second because the exhaust breaks the sound barrier. And then it just roars to life, and the stands are shaking, and it feels like all of your internals just turn to liquid. And these things launch, and it's done. I mean, it is literally, it goes, you see smoke, and it's over. That's all there is to it. You're just watching for parachutes. So that experience from a fan standpoint, if you've never been to a 4 wide, if you've never been to a drag race at all, go see one of these NHRA events. You're going to absolutely love it. As far as why some drivers love it, some drivers hate it. And again, this is speculation. This is from my point of view. You have 4 lanes. It's just the 2 fastest. The first 2 across the line win. That's simply put. So they can both come from the same set of lanes, if I remember right. Drivers don't like that. They want a 50-50 shot at winning. Now, well, statistically still have a 50-50 shot. You don't, because if you hit that bad lane, you're just screwed. There's a good chance you're done for the day. So there are going to be people who love it for that reason and people who hate it for that reason also. I love watching it because you have 4 cars and it is quick. These rounds go quick from a fan standpoint of view. It is fast racing. I call it ADHD racing, which is you sit down, you only have to watch for about 30 minutes, and then all the big ones are done. And then they'll have a lot of smaller series throughout the day. But as far as per round, maybe 20 to 30 minutes for all of your pro stocks, your funny car, your top fuel. Maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 maximum and that's it. So it's perfect ADHD racing. You can sit down and watch it and be done with it and go about your day. You'll walk around the pit, so you're not glued to it for hours and hours and hours on end. So it's perfect for that. I love that aspect of it because it gives you a chance to get up, walk back down to the pit, see what's going on, watch them turn over the car, then go sit back down and watch it happen again.
That is really neat because you know what? I've been to an NHRA event since I was a baby, and unfortunately I was going this year and things didn't work out again, but at least I got to go to NASCAR. However, one of my cousins goes a lot. She didn't get to go this year, but she goes all the time. She's usually gone for like, I think, years and years and years in a row. And she told me that the most exciting days for NHRA would have to be like a Saturday because everyone's running and because it's qualifying and it's pretty fast paced. She says on Sundays you're just kind of sitting around. And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. She's like, because it's the ladder and they get their periods to work on their car and everything. So you're kind of sitting around, but you still get racing. And then of course the end is what you pay for, well, for that day. That's the big one because it's the actual ladder, and you get to see the wallies, and okay, awesome. But you mentioned that that's awesome, that it's really fast paced and it's a little different. So I guess to counter that, the 4 wide could actually maybe even offer a little more and be more exciting. Now I understand how it'd be frustrating for drivers as well. I did not even know that about the first 2, but I guess I was the winner. But realistically, I can totally see where people would get irritated with that, where the drivers wouldn't, even the teams. But certainly interesting take on that, and I absolutely love the 4 wide Nats. I love NHRA whatsoever, like all of it. But it is just a neat atmosphere for race fans. It's something that's so much different than a lot of other auto sports out there. And as Jonathan said, everybody, if you have not been to an NHRA event, go. I cannot wait to get my butt there soon because this is looking great. I hope we get NHRA this year so that way they can have the fall, the NHRA finals, of course. And oh my gosh, I will work so hard to get there. I really want to see it and I really want to be there. So awesome stuff there. But with that said, well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's gonna just about do it for us here today. So to take us on out of here, we're going to have a little back and forth because we got about 5 minutes in the period that we like to call Bring It On Home. With that said, it has been a fun one today. I'll tell you, bringing on Ryan Sparks, once again, crew chief of the number 32 Ford Mustang of Corey LaJoie. What an incredible interview that was. Great stuff, and hopefully you all enjoyed it, because I know I certainly did. I'm pretty darn sure Jonathan did. That was a lot of fun, asking him some really cool questions, asking him all about his experiences and everything up to this point, even his favorite tracks. Super cool hearing all about his niece, Cassidy, and please check her out once again. Jonathan told y'all earlier, and if you didn't catch it, well, let me refresh your memory, because you can check out her and all of these short track racers, these little youngsters out there that one day just may be in a stock car that we're watching very soon. And that, of course, speed51.com. Once again, that is speed51.com. Go check it out. Go enjoy these races. If you can get out there, if you live in the area, please get out there and enjoy the races. And there you have it. With that said, Jonathan, what you got for us to take us home, man?
Man, I just want to say, it was a great show, great having on, great being on, and everybody just, remember when these sports come back, remember how much we miss them, get out there, enjoy them. Right now, just be safe, do what we got to do, let's get this thing done, because I am tired of sitting at home. So let's do what we got to do, get this thing done, and then let's go enjoy sports and show them how much we love it.
I could not have said that better myself. Yes, it's going to help us. It's going to help us out, y'all. It's going to boost us. It's going to get us back where we need to be. And why not doing that? Why not do that with the sports we absolutely love? So yes, I think that is what's needed. Please, everybody just, oh my gosh, please help the cause, y'all. If you don't have to be out, don't be out. I mean, wear your mask, wear your gloves, do what you gotta do, stay safe, don't get sick, please. Work hard on that, y'all. And look, then we can all get back to our regular lives. So I am...
And hoarding the toilet paper.
Please stop hoarding.
Quit hoarding the damn toilet paper, everybody. Thankfully, I've got enough, but some of y'all don't. So those who got the toilet paper, they're not going to let you return it, so quit hoarding the toilet paper.
Please. It is really annoying. I'm telling you, these... Oh my gosh. Toilet paper hoarders, yes, please, stop it. And, I mean, be nice, y'all. Be nice to your fellow man, because everyone needs toilet paper. I don't need to go into the reasons why, but everyone needs freaking toilet paper. So to everybody who, I'm telling you, I gotta tell you right now, one of my favorite, Angela Ruck, had an awesome answer to Caitlin's infamous toilet paper question on the Extra Mile, but I gotta tell you, next to hers, I love what Mike Harvin said, man. Some old shop rags.
And Jeff Burke, like Jeff said, sometimes just gotta go find some oak leaves.
I'll tell you, those were awesome, y'all. Great responses and just overall great stuff. With that said, y'all, we're out of here. Jonathan, where can they find you, man?
You can find me absolutely everywhere at Couch Crew Chiefs. Couch Crew Chiefs. That's all you gotta look up. You will find me. I've got photography. I've got motorsports writing. You look up Coach Crew Chief on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you're going to find me.
And there you have it. You can find me aboard Larry B at the THEE_LB53. Give me a follow on Twitter. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at IE Sports Radio. Follow us as a whole there. Check us out on Facebook at IE Sports Radio. Give us a like. We certainly like that. Check us out. Of course, check out IESportsRadio.com for all of the interviews to come, all the shows, everything, y'all. Whatever you fulfill in sports, whatever you would love, we're going to fulfill it for y'all. We're going to do our best. With that said, once again, big shout out to Ryan Sparks. Thank you so much for being on, and we look forward to having him back soon. With that said, y'all, for Jonathan, for myself, we will see you next week. Until then, take care. And as always, God bless.